Hi everyone, I'm Corey Jones with Remax Sarnia Realty, Home Team Advantage, and proud sponsor of LoveSarniaLambton.ca. I'm here at the Painted Cat with the owner, Kat Cabajar. Kat, welcome to our show today.
Thank you so much, Corey.
Yeah, so just really wanted to give you guys an opportunity to get to know a little bit about the Painted Cat and about Kat herself and what she offers here at the Painted Cat. So first off, for those who don't know, where was you located?
So we are in beautiful downtown Sarnia on Christina Street, 137 Christina Street North, right across from the downtown market, right beside Vic's Deli on the corner of Cromwell and Christina. And yeah, we've got the whole space to ourselves.
Amazing, amazing. And prior to this, you were located where?
I was at Lambton Mall.
Right.
Which was a great experience, and we've been working with Lambton Mall for years, so when they gave us that opportunity to have kind of a pop-up location, we absolutely thought this was a good opportunity, and we went for it, but we're right back downtown where we belong.
Absolutely. It's an awesome studio, and unfortunately you don't get a tour here, but you'll have to come in afterwards and come see the place because it really is really cool. So we're actually in one of the classrooms right now, or we're in the classroom right now. So
yeah, we are in the classroom.
Yeah, it's excellent. So how long ago did you start the Painted Cat? I was surprised when I asked you before, but it was a while ago.
Oh, it's been a while now. So 2004 was where it all started.
That's awesome.
I was on the Art Walk Planning Committee.
Okay.
That was a Skills Link program through the Lawrence House.
Yeah.
And I was head of public relations.
Okay.
So my job was to get the word out and make sure that all the downtown merchants were on board for closing down the street and filling with artists and vendors and everything. But then when it came to the actual date of the festival, my job was done, and my friend was head of children's activities, and she thought face painting would be a really good way to kind of get kids engaged. So I volunteered to face paint because I like makeup, I liked Halloween, I liked painting, why not? So I was a mobile face painter. I had like a little kind of apron with all of my tools, and every time I saw a kid, I would ask if they wanted their face painted.
That's so cool.
And it became very popular very fast, and before I knew it, I had a lineup around the corner, and another merchant grabbed a TV tray and 2 chairs, and I sat there and I face painted the whole day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's how it all started.
So it started as a volunteer thing because you didn't want to let go. You wanted to keep helping out.
Yeah, I wanted to keep helping out, and I thought it would be a fun experience. And little did I know that it would plant the seed for all of this, and that was 20 years ago.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And so now, sorry, you said how long have you been at this location now?
I've only been here. We moved here. September.
Okay.
We had our grand opening in October.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. That's excellent. And did you find people had a hard time finding you, or did you have? Or I guess most of the people they come, they're probably in a scheduled class, so they had the notice. But when people went looking at the mall for you, you think, oh, holy smokes, where did she go? Like, did you have a lot of that?
We had like a little sign that said, we've moved, just in case. Yeah. And but we tried to stay in touch with like our clients and let them know. We had a huge grand opening at the mall, so we had to have a huge grand opening or reopening here, and it was right around Halloween, which is my favorite. So we had a lot of fun things happening, and we had local vendors here set up, it was really cool. It was a nice kind of like, warm welcome back to downtown.
Absolutely. And there's so many fun things that go on down here throughout the year too, right? I know that just recently, I guess at the end of last year, there was talks of all the events that are going to happen down here again this year, so I'm assuming you're going to be involved with all that. So,
absolutely.
So now we're in an art studio, so obviously you're not just doing face painting anymore, but do you still do face painting?
I do still do face painting.
Okay,
yes,
cool. Yeah, because I know I've seen some of your work on people, and it's pretty impressive.
Thank you.
Certainly more impressive than what I can do. That's for sure. I tried to help out once at an event, and I very quickly was told, no, this is not. We don't want you painting our face. So anyway, so tell us besides face painting, what do you do? What services or what classes do you offer here?
So it's really interesting just how it's grown over the years, and it's funny that you asked this because I actually had to kind of update my elevator pitch, today when I was in my business coach meeting, and I was applying for a grant, and they were like, okay, like what does the Painted Cat do? And so we used to focus on arts and entertainment, and now we've really branched out into education and wellness. And so it's kind of two branches, right? So the arts and entertainment, we provide like face painting, body art, balloon twisting, special characters. We can add that special oomph to any event,
right?
And that's something that, I've been fortunate to be connected with like amazing artists and entertainers, and I contract them out for all different events.
Oh, cool.
So that's the one side of things. We also have mascot characters as well.
Really?
Yes.
And is that through the painting? So you wanted,
Yeah.
so they would book mascot characters through you?
Oh, yes.
Okay, so you obviously have a large group of people who are willing to work with you and do events. But you couldn't possibly face paint and be a mascot on. That would be really
That
impressive.
would be, that would be impressive.
That's maybe new.
I'm not going to take up that challenge.
No,
Corey.
okay.
That's not happening.
Okay, fair enough. So that's awesome. So mascot characters as well.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah. So that's one way. And then the other branch, of course, is the education and wellness. So I'm not a registered teacher, but I am a facilitator, which means I can create environments for people to explore their creativity, their imagination, and connect with one another, connect with themselves. And that's kind of how this all came to be. It was, like the paint parties. That's like, it became all the rage a few years back, like before the pandemic, right?
Yeah.
And I really loved it. I was doing maybe 4 or 5 paint parties a week.
Wow.
Yeah, it was a lot.
And this is before the pandemic?
This is before the pandemic.
Wow,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
It was. I don't know how I did it, honestly. I look back on that, I'm like, where did that energy come from? I don't think it really was there. I think I just kind of like went with it.
Fake it until you make it.
Yeah, exactly. But then when the pandemic hit, and of course, we were stuck at home, I was like, I'm gonna go crazy. I can't paint faces. Nobody wants their face painted during a pandemic, right? And there's no live events. Everything was virtual. So I started a free art Friday. So every Friday on Facebook and Instagram, I would go live and I would do a little art class. I would teach how to draw something, a fun art game, how to do fancy letters, different things like that. So anybody could just sign in and watch and draw along, and it grew like very fast. And next thing you know, I had schools that were providing my social media information to the parents if the kids were looking for something extracurricular. And then I started getting asked if I would do group classes online and virtual workshops.
Wow.
And I had recently gotten my certification in therapeutic art.
Okay.
So I was able to kind of design some different healing and like wellness-based art programs that were all virtual for different organizations in the community. And I even got picked up by a national company.
Good for you.
So they owned condos all over Canada, and they needed something for their tenants to do so that they would, stay home and be engaged. And so I created a whole kind of like art program for them that I would go online and they would patch me through to all over Canada. So
that's amazing.
It was really cool. And I realized that was my true passion. Art is absolutely like my passion, but that sense of community and connection that comes with the art, that was like the whole package for me.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So do you still do any of those online things now, or?
I offer them, but I feel like frankly people are kind of burnt out from screen time.
No, for sure.
I do prefer in person, but I absolutely will do virtual as well. So basically I was doing group classes, and then when we were able to see each other again, I did one-on-one private classes, but at this point I had moved everything home. So I was actually doing them from my kitchen island.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and the kids would come over and we would do art together, and or we'd do it on the front porch or wherever. And then the demand got so great that I started doing group classes, and then I had to expand into another room in my house, and then into my basement, and it just kept growing, right? And there's just something so fulfilling about creating that space for these kids who don't necessarily have a space like that, where they feel like they can be themselves and they can express themselves freely, and they can meet like-minded people, right?
Yeah,
so,
very cool. Now, do most kids who come, or do any kids who come here have a lot of experience or a lot of natural talent, or is it do they just come in super raw and it's like, I want to try something different, or is there all of the like?
I think it's the whole spectrum.
Is it?
Honestly, like right now we have ages 5 to 16.
Okay.
And so there's a lot of kids who their guardians have notice that they have a love of art.
Right.
Maybe they watch tutorials online, and they, they're constantly drawing and giving everybody their pictures, but they don't have anywhere to really share it, and they don't have somebody that can kind of show them in person, right? And in the school systems, unfortunately, because of all the cutbacks, we don't have like a lot of art programs anymore, right? There's not a lot of extracurricular programs, or even things like during like regular school hours.
Right.
So it's just a way that their parents have, like, they've noticed that, I'm offering these programs, and they want to support their child in what they're interested in.
Absolutely.
And then they come here, but you don't need any experience, honestly. This is a very, like, our number one rule here is to have fun.
Awesome.
Right?
Awesome.
So I very much channel like my inner Bob Ross, and I'm very, and that goes for all ages. Like, I do have an after school arts program, but I offer to like all ages.
Oh, really?
Absolutely.
Even adults?
Even adults.
Really?
I'm actually starting a program with Vision Nursing Home, and I'll be doing a therapeutic art program with the seniors there.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That'll be fun.
I'm really excited.
Yeah, as you should be. That's super cool. And so you'll go in there just a day a week or something, or once
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Twice a week.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, that's great. So what are you, when you're teaching a class, what are you teaching? Are you teaching drawing or painting or all of the above?
So it's a little different than school, and that's what I say to the kids. It's like there's some things that are like school, like you have to put your hand up if you want to ask a question, you have to respect each other and clean up after yourself, But I'm not here to say, okay, this is what we're doing today, and this is how we're doing it.
Okay.
So you'll see over here, we've got the art class wish list. So what I do in the beginning, because we just finished our first week of classes, is I say, I want to hear from you.
Right.
Right? What do you want to learn? What are you interested in?
Okay.
And then I have the fundamentals, like the basics of the art techniques that I want to teach them.
Right.
But then I take like the themes and the different characters and the different mediums that they have like said that they want to learn more about, and I kind of weave that in.
Very cool.
And that really creates engagement. And that's so important, especially these days. It's really hard to keep people's attention.
Absolutely.
Any age.
For sure. Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think it got worse through COVID, right? Because everybody was just constantly on everything and scrolling through everything. So it became, the video, instead of being 10 minutes long, it kept people engaged with like 12 seconds, right? So it's like, wow, you can't get much out in 12 seconds. So
exactly.
That's very cool. So you're doing all ages. You're going to be doing Vision Nursing Home, which is super cool.
Mm-hmm.
Are there regular hours here in the studio you're open, or is it just by appointment, or is it just scheduled classes all the time, or?
So it's been kind of tricky because I want to be open to the public, but I also don't want to be here all the time, and I can't really afford to staff it all the time either,
of course not,
right? And we know, like from being downtown, that there's waves where it's busy and then it's a ghost town, and that's fine. So we have like a retail section in the front, and we feature local makers. So we're usually open for First Fridays.
Oh, nice.
With the weather, we weren't open for January. Like everybody should be hibernating in
Yes,
January.
absolutely,
Let's be real. So I'm still trying to decide if we're going to be open for February 1st Friday, but definitely when the weather warms up, we'll be having different events here.
Cool.
And then my after school art program, I have some students that come as early as 3:30, and it goes all the way. I think I close around like 7:30.
Okay.
And that's Tuesdays through Thursdays. The seniors program that I'm going to be doing is on Mondays and Fridays. Okay. So we're usually closed on Mondays because everything's
starting to exactly. In Sarnia anyway, nowhere else.
In Sarnia, exactly. But it really is. I'm very open to how this studio has kind of grown and evolved over the time that we've been here. And now I'm seeing that there's a real demand for younger art programs as well. So we're in the process of doing an Art Tots program where parents can come and bring their kids and have a place to explore their creativity in a safe environment.
That's super cool. Yeah. That's awesome. So let me ask, have you always been super artistic? Always. So even when you're a young age, even as a tot, you were. As far as
as long back as I can remember, I've loved art. I love drawing. And it's funny because when you're a professional artist or like a commercial artist, sometimes it can kind of it doesn't take the joy out of it, but when you spend all your time creating art for other people, in your own time, it's like the last thing that you want to do, right?
Gotcha. Yep,
And
that's fair.
I was feeling kind of guilty because it's like, oh, here I am promoting everyone else to like explore their creativity and to do art every day, but I'm not doing art every day. But then I realized that as an artist, like you kind of like see the world through an artist's eyes. And so the way that you connect with people, the way that you inspire that kind of imagination in others, that's an art form too, right? So I'm not so hard on myself anymore. Like I show myself grace. I do have a goal of like wanting to do more of like my own personal art.
Okay.
But yeah, when I was younger, I either had I had a crayon or a pencil in my hand, and I had my nose in a book all the time. Only child, right? So
Yeah, there you go.
I had to learn how to entertain myself.
So now, and not to hold you to it, but getting back into doing some more of your own art, what type of art do you prefer to do yourself? Like, do you paint or do you draw or?
I really enjoy illustrative art.
Nice.
I love just like playing with like watercolor, acrylic, mixed media. I even dabble in some photography.
Okay.
This studio, like it's pretty big on its own, but there's actually a whole basement downstairs.
Oh, nice.
And it's like double the size.
Wow.
So I'm working on putting a photo studio together so that I can kind of experiment with like my body art and with photography, and it's all just kind of like a smorgasbord, really.
Very cool. So whatever you're feeling that day.
Exactly.
That's so cool. So you had mentioned therapeutic art.
Yes.
Therapy. Can you talk to us a little bit about that?
Sure.
What is that? What exactly is that?
So I can't call myself an art therapist because I'm not a licensed like psychologist, but I did get my certification in therapeutic art life coaching, I believe, so I have a basic knowledge of creating like workshops and activities that will help people kind of bring what they're feeling internally, external, and visible, right? Because a lot of times we get so frustrated, with anxiety, depression, insomnia, the trauma that we've been through in our lives, and we don't realize how much we're just like stuffing all of those feelings down, and it comes out in different ways that are not necessarily productive to our day-to-day living, right? And so when we create a space where we can kind of like play with colors and designs and patterns, we start recognizing things in that work that we can relate to and that kind of help us to understand what's going on inside. So you don't have to even be able to draw a stick figure to do therapeutic art. Okay. It's really about just like, I think of it like you've got like a tangled like ball of like yarn all knotted up in all like different colors. And so this way it just brings it out on the table and you're able to just kind of pick it apart and see, oh, look, there's a knot there. I wonder what happened there. And it just gives you a space to do kind of like some emotional, personal like inventory and really understand what's going on in your mind, in your heart, in a way that is visually, I want to say almost like awakening, right? Gotcha. Yeah. It's really cool.
It sounds really cool.
Yeah.
So is that something in a situation like that? Is that something you would run a class for? Is that something you more individual one-on-one type of?
Yeah, I mean, I have done group workshops. Okay. I've worked with the Sexual Assault Survivor Center, who's actually moving into our neighborhood, which is really cool.
Absolutely.
So I've worked with groups there. I've worked one-on-one. I've actually done workshops with other facilitators to show them different like activities that they can do with their clients. Oh, cool. So it's really. It blows me away because I'll have a client come in and they've survived a lot of trauma in their life. There's a lack of trust. They're just all kind of like tense and you feel like there's kind of like a wall there. And then as soon as you start kind of listening to some music and getting out like the markers and crayons and paint, and you just see everything in them kind of like relax, right? Awesome. And then they feel kind of more like they're in a place where they can look at this stuff and they're not going to be as like emotionally triggered. Right. There's no judgment. It really is just like a place of like love and acceptance and healing. Yeah. Right. And I mean, the first step is like recognizing that, okay, like this is something that I have not paid enough attention to, that I haven't given enough time and space to like really explore, and now it's time to just allow myself to have that, right?
Absolutely.
And that's for all ages, right?
Very cool.
Yeah.
And I think you're right. It's so often people have trauma in their lives, they do just stuff it down, and you don't know when that's going to come.
You don't know when that's going
right?
to
So
yeah.
and the reality is, it generally does at
Yeah.
some point, and you don't necessarily know how it's going to come out, right? So
Exactly.
having a way to release that is very cool. So so do you said you run workshops for that? So is
Yes.
that wouldn't be necessarily one that would be for all ages, or do you use some of that therapeutic or for
Yeah.
young? Oh, you do.
That's all ages.
Really?
Well, yeah. I mean, like, okay. So this is interesting. So I do a registration on my website when you're signing up for the after school program.
Okay.
And I say that, you know, it's important to me to have like a safe and open environment where, you know, kids feel free to, you know, be themselves and express themselves, right? So are there any issues or challenges that I should be made aware of that your child is experiencing?
Okay.
You know, I'm very careful with the wording,
Sure.
obviously, right?
Yeah.
And then I have a list. And there's anxiety, depression, insomnia, shyness, social boundaries, you know, different things like that. I think it was really high. It wasn't 50%. I think it was like 46% of my students had their guardians had checked off anxiety.
Which is, like we were talking about before we started, right? It's a thing. Like,
It's a thing.
It's a thing. That and beyond. It's you know, mental health is so important, and people, there still is such a stigma attached to it. But the reality is that we all have stuff.
We do.
We all have stuff, right? Doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't. And you know, and I hear people so often say, "Oh, well, we never had those problems when I was young." Yeah, you did. You did. You just didn't know about it because you didn't have a name for it, right?
Exactly.
So, or you were told just wipe your tears away because, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
Men don't cry. Right?
Yeah.
That's what we were told, right?
Well, I mean, like, I've had my own experience with mental health, like a mental health journey, I guess. So when I was 15, I was diagnosed with, well, back then it was manic depression.
Okay.
And now they just say like bipolar, like 1 and
Right.
2. But now, as I've gotten older, I've realized that may have been a misdiagnosis, and I may have ADHD.
Right.
Because my own son came to me and said, you know, Mom, I want to talk to someone because I feel like, and he's a very, very bright child.
Sure, yeah,
you
very
know?
intuitive,
Yeah, a very old soul, that one. And from a very early age, he was like, you know, I want to go and talk to someone. And I was so afraid that they were just going to like over medicate him,
Right.
and it was going to like, you know, not help him in the way that he thought, right? But when he, now he's up in university, and he said, Mom, like, if I get this assessment, there will be opportunities for me in school that will help me with my experience.
Absolutely.
You know? And I was like, okay, buddy, like, let's do this. So he did the assessment for ADHD, and I'm looking at this assessment, and I'm checking off all the boxes with him, and I'm like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
You know, and I know a lot of people, especially women, who went through their life thinking that they were like depressed or that they had like seasonal affective disorder, and now later in life they've realized, okay, like I'm on the spectrum, I'm neurodivergent, I have ADHD, and they were just so good at masking, just trying to, you know, like fit in and make everything like seem normal, that they didn't really pay attention to it. So I think it's really important to know yourself and to feel free to express yourself and to share that with others, because if we don't know what other people are going through, we feel like we're alone in this.
Yeah.
And so the more we know that there are other people who are having these challenges, having these struggles, the more we can connect with one another and show support for each other, and make it like less taboo. Right?
It has to be.
Yeah.
It has to be. And I mean, I'm ADHD, and it's no surprise to anybody watching, anybody who knows me for sure.
Okay.
Right? So, and I mean, but there's challenges with that, right? And as you get older, it doesn't always get better, especially if you've been given the tools or the avenues to deal with it, right? So that's super cool that you ask those questions in advance, because it is important. And some people don't know necessarily that they're maybe struggling with something, or the parents may not know that the kids are struggling with it.
That's right.
But, you know, if you do, you got to talk about it, because it's you know, again, it shouldn't be taboo. It just shouldn't be. So, so if someone was to attend your class and follow all this stuff, like these
Yes.
really cool looking markers that they're not what I had for sure when I was
Right,
going
I know,
things like that.
double-ended.
Like, do we have places in Sarnia where you can purchase those type of things? Do you purchase them here? Where can people buy the art products?
So, it's tricky.
Okay.
I originally wanted to start offering more like art supplies and everything through the Painted Cat studio, but the overhead is a lot.
I'm sure.
Right?
Yeah, I'm sure.
So if the demand is there, then absolutely I have no problem like ordering the supplies.
Right.
I've created art kits. I've had parents come to me and say, hey, my kid's really into art. I want to get them something special for Christmas. What would you recommend?
Right.
And I'll help like pick the different brands that they need,
cool.
and custom made like gift baskets,
Nice.
sketchbook kits, things
Nice.
like that. But honestly, here in Sarnia, you've got, the bookkeeper.
Right.
They have art supplies,
Okay.
so that's awesome, and you can support local.
Yeah.
Michael's, you
Okay.
can always use a coupon.
Right. Yeah.
Right? They got
Yeah.
great coupons, and they're really great. Like, they know me.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm there a lot.
Yeah.
Arts Den in Petrolia
Okay.
has supplies as well. And other than that, like, there's obviously a lot of things online.
Sure.
But really, at the end of the day, even the dollar store has art supplies.
Oh, is that right?
Right?
Okay.
It might not be like the same quality, but it doesn't really matter, right? Like, it's more about just like getting it out there. Once you start specializing in things, absolutely, you can like pay the extra to get the right brands, and and especially if you're going to be selling your work and everything, you want to make sure that it's going to be long lasting.
Right.
But really, like, if you're just looking to explore, you can get a sketchbook for like $4.
Okay.
Okay.
And
And get like a pack of markers, crayons, like whatever. It's
Just
not.
start.
Yeah, just start. Just do anything. Just have fun, and don't be too hard on yourself.
Right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well.
We're so critical of ourselves. We expect perfection from like the first time that we try something, and that's just not how it works.
No,
right? It
no.
takes time. It takes patience and practice. So.
For sure.
Yeah.
You never know. You might catch me with a sketchbook, because I
All
love the thought of it. I'm
right.
definitely not artistic. At least I don't believe I am. So, but yeah, I know there used to be a store in Northgate that they also did art lessons or different crafts and things. It was by Williams Pastry for a while. By the bakery there was one for years, but it's gone now. So
Yeah, no, I don't
yeah,
really remember
it was
that.
yeah, I was
Yeah.
pretty young. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Well,
but-
my favorite was Bear Creek Studio. I don't know if you remember that. That
Really
was
name.
Ariel Lyons, who's an incredible, like, award-winning watercolor artist.
oh wow,
And so she had a studio in Bayside Mall, which
okay,
is
yeah,
a parking lot.
yeah,
And I loved it there because she had like really beautiful supplies, and then she had another location in Petrolia as well.
oh cool.
But she's since she was actually my watercolor teacher in college.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. But now I think she's just like private. I think she's mostly retired and just
Okay.
kind of like does like virtual and travels a lot and everything. But
Good for her.
Yeah.
Good for her. So now, looking at your website, I saw that there's different events you do for I don't know, say corporate, but like nonprofit organizations and different
Yes.
businesses and things like that. What does that look like? Do they come here, or do you go to the workplaces, or?
yeah, I mean, we're a mobile service, so
Okay.
we will go on location for different events. I'm trying to create more events that are here, so that this can kind of be like an art hub.
Yeah.
It's a very versatile space. Like, if you move things around, it's actually just a big, wide open space.
Right.
So it has a lot of potential. But we can create different experiences for whatever event, right? Like, we've been working with Lambton Mall for like over 10 years, and anytime that they have a special event, they give us a call and say, okay, what should we do, right? So face painting, balloon twisting, henna tattoos, glitter tattoos,
Oh, wow.
characters. And I like to reach out to other communities as well. Like, we have an event coming up for Family Day, and they wanted kind of like a Nintendo theme. So I have like some Nintendo themed mascots, but
Okay.
I have a friend in Windsor who has a character company, and she does an amazing Princess Peach. So I reached out to her and said, hey, would you like to, come down and,
Very cool.
for the day. So it really is like anything is possible. And we kind of cater to different budgets as well, right?
Okay, nice.
Especially these days, we
Yeah.
know times are tough.
Yeah.
We would rather make something work than you have nothing at all,
Yeah.
right? And especially with nonprofits, they're always looking for different ideas for fundraisers.
Sure.
And so we'll do like paint parties and like creative events, and I love it. I mean, for me, it's just a way to continue to do what I love and to share that with people.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So you still do all those things, the paint parties and birthday parties, and the people can book this space, and do they get like a mini lesson or something when they're doing a birthday party? Like if it's somebody who's not, so if somebody's coming with zero experience for a birthday party, you just come in and you'll teach them.
Well, usually I give them a list of different things that they can choose from. So this weekend I'm actually going to a little girl's birthday party in Port Lambton, and she chose watercolor. And she's really excited. I think it's like 8 and 9 year olds, and she like hand painted her party invitations, and it's just really cool to see them like so excited about it, right? Absolutely. And it's a different vibe. Like, I mean, you know, kids' birthday parties, they can be pretty wild,
They can be pretty wild.
But when you get a group of kids, it doesn't matter what age, around a table with art, you can hear a pin drop. Like parents are just like, this is crazy, right? Like the screaming starts again when the cake comes out and everything.
Sure.
But it's they get in the zone, and they're just, it's just them and their piece of art, and it's just really cool.
That is cool, and of course they get to keep the piece that they create, and
as a keepsake, right?
That is so cool. That, you know what? I think it's I see it all the time, like especially with lovesarniaLambton.ca, we're posting on all the different forums, what's going on in Sarnia and all these different things. And you often hear people say, hey, does anybody have any really unique ideas for birthday parties or whatever? And like, there's a need for something different, right? Like not everybody just wants to run around and scream and yell. And the parents don't necessarily love that. Trust me, mine are grown now, but growing up, like that was like those are the worst.
They're the worst. They're the worst. They're just running around in circles, screaming,
for sure.
Throwing like candy at them.
Absolutely, and you don't know what child, or if all of them will go, hey, you know what? This is awesome. This is something I want to pursue, right? And how do you know if you don't try it? So that's super cool. I love that. That's cool. Now, the other thing I read is that you also are a guest speaker and facilitator at different events. So talk to us about that. Where do you speak? What type of things do you talk about? And
well, I mean, I love to talk. I was a public speaker when I was a kid too. I would compete like for the Optimist Club. I got second place in Southwestern Ontario.
Good job. That's awesome.
So I really love kind of like going into different environments and kind of sharing like my experience and with different demographics, right? So some examples, I'll go into schools and talk about the importance of creativity and keeping an open mind and being gentle with yourself and giving yourself that grace to like learn new things. Another big one is just being in the creative industry full time, right? Because I mean, when I was a kid and I said, when I grow up, I want to be an artist, people would say, well, that's not a real job. What's your real job going to be? That's a hobby, right? And that's not really beneficial for kids.
No.
Like yes, I understand that being in the creative industry is a challenge and it's not going to have the same kind of security that a more traditional job would have, but it's absolutely possible to do and to pursue. I've been doing it for like 20 years, right?
I was gonna say that,
And there's no going back. No. Like I thought about it, like, could I go back to like a normal job? Absolutely not. No. Like it really is just incredible to have that kind of, to do what you're passionate about and to share that with other people. And so that's a big part of it, is just like showing them that it is possible and these are the steps that you take to kind of explore those options, and this is what you have to keep in mind. So that's another way. And then also just art and wellness and kind of like the connection between the two. A lot of people think, like I said before, like if you can't draw a stick figure, then you can't create art, and that's not true, right? So it's really about letting people know that like everyone has the ability to create art and to express themselves and allowing themselves that time, right? And then I also do like co-op placements. So I've had all kinds of students come through here and work with me, and sometimes I'll offer them a job at the end of their co-op placement, and then they'll be on the team until they go off to university. And
very cool.
It's just really cool. Like I really love being in kind of like a mentorship role, because growing up, I really looked up, I think also being an only child, you spend a lot of time around adults, right?
Sure, yeah.
So I just really looked up to like the creative like adults in my life, and a lot of them like took me under their wing and showed me so much. And so now that I'm at that point, I want to kind of like give that back to the community. And yeah, I mean, like I just really feel like it's important to be an advocate, you know, in the community. And so if I can speak and I can have a voice for people that like are afraid to get up there and like share their journey with mental health, with inclusivity, with being in the creative industry, then like I want to do that. I want to be able to be that person.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And then you're like, so when you talk about not being artistic, like I would definitely think that I do not have an artistic bone in my body when it comes to drawing, painting, things like that. I'm musical, but the thing about art is that it doesn't matter if it's the kind of thing you're going to necessarily sell on a shelf at a whatever. It's about expressing yourself and doing what you love. And for those who do think that, you know, you can't make a career to this, like you say, 20 years. Like you may not you some massive art studio where you're selling.
Not yet.
Not you, but exactly. But you could, and but doing something like this and helping others express themselves is super cool.
It's been really cool.
It is, and you know, and that's honestly, I think, what's more important, you know, having the traditional 9 to 5 or having something where you're actually helping people feel better about themselves every day. Right, so that's super cool. That's awesome. I love that. So we'll probably wrap it up. I don't know how long we've been talking for, but it's so easy to get talking to people, especially when it was so interesting. So they can find you here at Christina Street. Is 135?
137.
137. Don't go next door. 137 Christina Street North. Okay. They can find you on, where else can they find you?
Find me online. So I have a website, thepaintedcat.ca. I'm on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok.
Everywhere.
Yeah.
Everywhere. Are you doing like little lessons on TikTok and stuff like that, or little, or not really?
I'm trying. Like TikTok is like it's a young person's game.
It's 100%.
It's a lot. I mean, I've really been working on my Instagram, and only to find out that that's now like where old people.
Oh, is that right? Oh no.
But I'm trying to work towards my 10K followers. I hit 6K
Good for you.
over the holidays, but it comes and goes, right? Like, so you'll watch the numbers come up and down. I definitely get a lot of engagement on Instagram and on TikTok. But Facebook, I'm old school too. Like, I think it's really cool that we have this community, especially in Sarnia, where we can all kind of like promote one another, encourage one another. But yeah, that's the basic socials. I am working on developing my YouTube page, but I'm just busy, Corey.
Yeah,
like,
I hear you.
It's hard to find all the time and energy in the day to do all those things, right?
Yes, absolutely. And like you say, when it's not your natural go-to, right? It's hard to even learn how to do that stuff, right? So no, absolutely, I'm with you. So they can find you everywhere, but website, get a hold of you through your website, and they can find it all. You can find out all the information about all the different services and all the socials too. That's amazing. And as of, this is Friday, so probably Monday or Tuesday, you're going to be able to find this interview on lovesarnialampton.ca as well. We're going to be posting on all the different Facebook groups, what's going on in Sarnia, things like that. So anything else you'd like to share? Anything else you'd like to kind of wrap things up with as far as...
Gosh, I think we covered a lot.
We covered a lot. We sure did.
I think the biggest thing is like, even if there's something that's like not on my website, but you think like, hey, maybe, you know, Kat would add her like creative flair to that. Feel free to like slide in the DMs and let me know, because I really just love like community connection and like just creating those special moments for people.
Awesome. Love that. Thanks for watching today, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. If you have any questions about real estate, it is a crazy market. There's all kinds of things happening with interest rates and things like that people aren't sure what's happening. Give us a call or check us out, hometeamadvantage.ca. You can call us at 519-331-5552. If you're looking for birthday party ideas or just a really cool way to spend your evenings, or if you've got kids who are looking for a way to get out and kind of explore their own creativity, definitely talk to Kat, because this is a really great space, and I'm looking forward to hearing about everybody who's watching this. Come check it out. So take care, everybody. Have a great day.
Oh, there we go.
Every time.